Hello everyone, this is the start of our last FRQ packet. This FRQ packet was a mixture of all of the units, except Unit 2 got left off because we had already done the question from the years that I pulled these questions from. We had already done that regression question. So make sure you still review that. Let's go ahead and get started. This first question is from 2019, question number 1. So Google AP Statistics 2019 Scoring Guideline, question 1. If you want to look at the scoring guideline. Based on the histogram, write a few short sentences describing the distribution of room sizes in the resident hall. So we should be using SOCs here. The shape of the distribution of room sizes is bimodal. There don't appear to be any outliers. The median is somewhere between 200 feet squared and 300 feet squared. The way I got that was I counted, I knew there were 20 rooms, so I knew the 10th room was going to be where the median was. The 10th room is right between these two bars. So the actual value for the median could have been anywhere between 200 and 300. The range is between 150 and 250. I got that by going to the smallest possible values in both, or the values on the inside of the lower and upper bound. So 150 to 300 is 150. The highest it could be is the outside boundaries of the outside bars, 100 to 350, which is 250. Theirs is very similar. So let's see how they scored it. Section 1 consists of Part A. So this is Section 1. The shape is bimodal, or there are two peaks, or there are two clusters. So you need one of those. I got bimodal. The center is between 200 and 300. I got that. The spread is addressed by stating that the range is a value between 150 and 250, or the interquartile range is between 50 and 150, or all room sizes are between 100 and 350. Okay. I have the ranges between 150 and 250. The response includes context, the distribution of room sizes. I also included units. Partially correct if you satisfy, so essentially correct if you had all four. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Partially correct if you satisfied 2 or 3 of the 4 components. So you actually could miss 2 of those and still get a partially correct. Incorrect if you had 1 or 0. Let's look at the notes on this one. Component 1 cannot be satisfied if a response describes the histogram as unimodal or describes the entire histogram as normal or approximately normal. A response that addresses symmetry, while appropriate, does not impact the scoring of Section 1. So if you just said symmetrical and you didn't include anything else, that would not get you credit for that component. A response that states one cluster is centered between 150 and 200 and the other is between 250 and 300 satisfies components 1 and 2. Interesting. Responses that address center using interval language, such as the mean of the distribution is between 200 and 300, must, for any single measure of center, provide an interval with lower endpoint not below 200 and an upper endpoint not above 300. Okay. Responses that address center using approximate language, such as the median is approximately 225, must, for any single measure of center, specify a numeric value that is not less than 200 and not greater than 300. So if you, instead of saying the median was between 200 and 300, if you said it's approximately 250 or something between 200 and 300, then you still satisfied component 2. Responses that use definitive language, such as the mean is 231.4, must identify the corresponding numeric value correctly to satisfy component 2. Specifically, the median can be correctly identified as any value between 250 and 253.5. The mean is 231.4. And the center or average of the distribution. Okay, that's a lot. I don't know why they said all that. spread or response recognizing that all values in the sample fall between 100 and 350. Satisfies component 3 only for these exact endpoints and need not appeal to a specific measure of spread, such as the range or interquartile range. Responses that appeal to specific measures of spread using approximate language, such as the range is approximately 250, must specify a numeric value between 150 and 250. I think that covers it. If you just did it like this, you're fine. Section 2 consists of the outlier determination in Part B. So you can see what they said, essentially what I said, calculate both fences. And then there are no outliers because the minimum and the maximum are both between the upper and lower fences. So I included numbers with that, as you can see. Let's see what they looked for. There are not as many words here. Not as many. Essentially correct if the response satisfies the following 3 components. Computation of an upper and lower outer boundary that also shows the fences either in words or with values substituted in. Okay, here are my fences. A correct decision regarding the presence of outliers. There are no outliers. That's a correct decision. Correct justification that compares the data within the fences. There you go. So I had all 3. That's essential. 2 of the 3 components is a partial. A response that identified. So if you didn't substitute in the numbers, like I did here, you just wrote the formula, then you had to show what the fence was, but you still got credit if you showed the actual correct numerical answer for the fence. Okay, we didn't do this, so I'm sure you didn't do that. No, we didn't do anything with the standard deviation, so we're going to ignore all of that. Okay, I think that covers everything. Section 3, I assume, is just the box plot. Yep. So here's my sketch. I labeled Q1, like I labeled what the point was and the thing and the number for it, but they did not. They just used the approximate values on the number line. Let's see what they say to look for. A correct sketch of the box plot. So that was correct. It looked the same as the other one. Oh, it looks like part C is included in this. A response for part C that indicates the bimodal shape of the room size distribution is apparent in the histogram, but not the box plot. You can see that the graph is bimodal on the histogram, but not the box plot. And then I went on because that other one took off points. So I continued on that there's a cluster of data between 150 and 200 and at 250 to 300, but there's only one room between those numbers, but you didn't need to do that. So the box plot must be completely correct to satisfy component 1. So look at these numbers carefully. Obviously they're approximate values, but you need to have your line and your box going all the way. Yep. So I have everything, but you need to look carefully to make sure your numbers are all placed in the right spots, that you did a line here, a box going from Q1 to Q3 with the line at the median, not at the mean. If you did it at the mean, then you would not be getting the box plot right. So you had to get both of them correct, the box plot and the description on C. to get another essentially correct. Partially correct if you had 1 or 2 of those. So that's 4 out of 4 for mine, hopefully for yours too. And that's it. Oh, no, scoring. This is the 3-parters, so it's scored the same way the other 3-parters are scored. I'm not going to read all that out. You can pause it if you need to.